This aircraft, though it was not fast, well-armed, or extremely advanced, was still an important part of the German war machine in World War II. Despite being less famous than other military aircraft of the time, it's still recognizable for many as an iconic German design. This was the Henschel Hs126, the primary short-range reconnaissance aircraft of the German army in the first years of the war. So let's see the history of this aircraft today. Reconnaissance and artillery spotter planes were used since the First World War, but the ones designed for these roles never had to be very agile or fast. Their most important features were rugged and light construction, so they could be stationed on makeshift airfields close to the front lines. But this all changed in the interwar period, as the aviation technologies started to evolve rapidly, especially during the 1930s. In 1930, the RLM asked manufacturers for new short-range reconnaissance aircraft to replace the older designs. The Henschel company's answer for these requirements was the Hs126 type, which made its maiden flight in late 1931. Their design was ordered into production, but in 1933, even before it entered service, the ministry already issued new specifications for its replacement. The new requirements specifically emphasized the landing and takeoff performance and low-speed handling characteristics for the new designs. Henschel offered the new Hs122 design as a replacement for the aging Hg46. This was an all-metal, single-engine, para-solving two-seater aircraft, armed with one fixed and one flexible defensive machine gun, and built around the Siemens SH-22B radial engine. However, the first flying prototype, which was finished in 1935, used the Rolls-Royce Kestrel engine, and only the following V3 and V4 prototypes used the Siemens power plant. Trials of the new aircraft started in late 1935, and though the design showed very good handling, it was barely faster than the Hg46. The specifications actually did not ask for higher speed, but the small performance upgrade the new Henschel design offered over the Heinkel model was not enough to justify a production order from the ministry. So in 1936, Henschel set out to redesign their Hs122 into a more advanced aircraft. The first experimental model was modified from the V4 variant of the Hs122. This new model featured a slightly longer fuselage, redesigned wings, landing gear, and a semi-enclosed cockpit, and its engine was planned to be the Bramo 323 type. These changes made the new aircraft so different from the original design that it received a new designation as Hs126. The first flying prototype of the new design, modified from the Hs122 V4 model, was finished in late 1936, but because the Bramo engines were not yet available, it used the UMO 210 power plant. The following V2 and V3 models arrived in spring 1937, and these variants were now equipped with the Bramo engines. They also featured a redesigned tail, and on the V3 version, a redesigned landing gear as well. The flight tests of the prototypes lasted until the end of summer, and the new aircraft was found to be stable with no major problems, and it showed its ability to take off and land at very small airfields. It was found to be a rugged and easy to manufacture construction, and though it was still not a requirement, but now the new Henschel design was about 100 km/h faster than the old Hg46 type or its predecessor, the Hs122 model. Henschel actually started working on a small pre-production batch of Hs126A0 models while the prototypes were still in the testing phase. This pre-production batch was finished in late 1937, and several of these planes were sent to Luftwaffe units for field testing. Thanks to this early testing, the first production Hs126A1 models already started to roll out from the factory in early 1938. These initial production variants differed from the prototypes, as they used the BMW 132D engine because of the shortage of Bramo power plants, which only returned later on the following B model of the aircraft. And if we're talking about different models, let us now take a look at the variants of the type. The V1 variant was the first prototype, modified from the Hs122 V4 model featuring the UMO 210 engine. The following V2 and V3 models featured the Bramo 323 engine and redesigned tail surfaces, and the V3 model also had a redesigned landing gear. The first production models were the Hs126A1 variants, built with the BMW 132D engines, and now featuring the intended armament. The updated Hs126B1 models entered production in 1939, and these finally featured the Brahmo engines, which gave these variants better performance and better short-field landing and takeoff abilities. The Hs126 was 10.9 meters long, with a wingspan of 14.5 meters. It had an empty weight of 2,030 kilograms and a maximum takeoff weight of 3,090 kilograms. The plane was powered by a single Brahmo 323 radial engine producing 850 horsepower. With this engine, it could reach a top speed of 356 km an hour, and it had a range of 998 km and a service ceiling of 8,530 meters. The light reconnaissance plane still featured an armament of one 7.92mm forward-firing machine gun and another flexible 7.92mm defensive machine gun used by the read observer. The plane could also carry up to 150 kilograms of bombs. The Hs126 entered service with the Luftwaffe in 1938 and started to replace the old Henschel Hs125 and Hs146 types. The new aircraft first saw action in late 1938 during the Spanish Civil War, when 6 of these planes were issued to the Condor Legion. The surviving planes were later transferred to the Spanish Air Force. In early 1939, Greece also ordered 16 units from the type, which were later used against the invading Italian forces. When World War II broke out, the Luftwaffe already had 275 Hs126 models in service, and they proved themselves during the invasion of Poland, flying day and night reconnaissance missions. Because of the weak resistance from the Polish Air Force, the type even carried out some ground attack missions as well, supporting the German troops. They also participated in the Battle of France in 1940, flying photo reconnaissance missions. But here, meeting with the French and British fighters, the Hs126 suffered much heavier losses, as the slow and light aircraft was an easy prey for the Allied pilots. But the obsolescence of the slow, weakly armed reconnaissance planes was not a surprise to the German officials. By this time, the production of the type was already coming to an end, and in the same year, their successor, the Focke-Wulf WWII, already entered service. I have already made a separate video on that type, so if you're interested in its history, check it out. Even though more advanced types entered service, the Hs126 remained in frontline duty, and flew missions again on the Eastern Front during the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. Here the light reconnaissance planes suffered heavy losses. Many were shot down by Soviet fighters or by anti-aircraft batteries. The Hs126 was also used in North Africa, but only in small numbers. From 1942, the remaining and now hopelessly obsolete Hs126s were withdrawn from the front and used as training aircraft and as towing vehicles for the DFS-230 gliders. The Hs126, though it was designed well before World War II and became obsolete during the conflict, still stands as a great design which fulfilled its purpose and served in many different roles. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and in the comments let me know if there's any interesting events or vehicles you'd like to see.